Hello folks, how's it going? Once again I'm playing about with this Sony mirrorless camera, and the purpose of that today is just to double check on using this camera and to show you some changes that were made. All 12 view have been changed in one way or another in order to incorporate this little brains oscillator, which is the Mutable Instruments Platts ripoff. Behringer's ripping off everybody, but in all fairness, this stuff was in the public domain. Another little Behringer thing that's pretty cool, an $80 effects unit that sounds pretty nice. So I now have a chain that goes from a Bloom by Qubit sequencer, and then it goes over, it's being clocked by a noise engineering clock and a divider and a ratcheting clock divider. And then over here we've got a precision adder. So I'm taking a copy of all my sources into the precision adder, with which I can offset the voltages like you might do with an attenuator. Anyway, it's an easy way to combine various voltages coming out of more than one sequencer. So down here there's a lattice sequencer that you can see stepping through, and on the lattice, probably the simplest little 8-step sequencer you could ever want. Next to that is a 2 HP tune set up for quantizing. And then over here we've got a through zero Doepfer and a little cheap Behringer Roland 80SR knockoff, and a little Prophet filter and a Moog ladder filter, and a prototype 3-channel mixer that a friend gave me, and of course the keyboard that I built, which is still going strong. So let's see if I turn up the volume. What's been going on over the past hour? So hopefully you can hear this. There's an awful lot of randomization going on here. More than I can explain just sitting here now for this. But the goal of what I'm doing here, the goal of generative synthesis in general, is to interleave and interconnect enough random voltage from enough and different styles of sources to allow yourself to create a groove that's quantized and musical, but changes ever so slightly. And then you can add level after level of changes. That's why I like this Bloom sequencer so much, because it's got built-in quantizing, it's got built-in scales, it's got dual channels. You can have 2 times 32 steps, and you can use their fractal algorithm to split the branching and the bifurcation of branching from either one of these channels. So blending output from that into one of these sources through a quantizer, maybe up through a precision adder, maybe over to a plain old analog oscillator, a couple of oscillators. Here's two make noise STOs, an envelope generator, a noise engineering mullet, most beautiful manifold in mult design, and then a quad VCA and a Doepfer Vactral multi-type filter with low pass, band pass, and high pass, which is very versatile. Well, this setup is my analog chain. So there's two complete voices here. They can be done as a complex oscillator, or they could be done as a duophonic type of voice. I can achieve a duophonic type of voice with the keyboard, even though it's a monophonic keyboard, were I to have a pair of oscillators and set them up correctly. Whereas down here, we've got an end-of-line chain that winds up into a little offsetting mixer 3-channel that lets me tap each channel. It's a built-in mult. So I use this little mixture to sum the analog voice above, taking that out and into the delay line, back through the reverb and back over to the mixer. I'm using one of the effects units channels here with an effects send and an effects return. So I'm doing that on one side rather than using it as stereo, and then I'm using the other one as an independent one. And here again, the dual looping delay is not really meant to be stereo, but each side can be mingled back and forth. And here's a rings copy. Great modal resonant stuff. More modal resonant stuff coming through on the Platts copy. Old school quantizer. Yet another mult. Yet another prototype module that's just very cool but requires a little bit of music theory knowledge. A simple but quad lattic chromatic quantizer. A Doepfer quad LFO. So now why you want a joystick? If you want that lovely computer analog synth R2D2 stuff, it can be that. It can be quite musical too. You can think of it as like a whammy bar on a guitar. It lets you introduce just a little bit of randomness anytime you want to. Alright, gonna wrap it up here, see if I can get this unloaded and uploaded. Thanks for checking it out. Cheers. Goodbye.